What up, investors? Ken here from the Dyslexic Investor, and what in God's green earth is going on again? Tesla, Elon Musk going at it, battling with some more folks, especially with the county of that where it operates its business within California, looking to dispute over when the factory can reopen its doors due again to the overall shelter-in-place rules to the spread of the pandemic that's currently going on. Musk tweeting out again, saying potentially looking for, hey, we're trying to open up our factory. There is no underlying secure issue at the moment to look for this like this. They're basically filing a lawsuit against the county immediately, and they're selecting and electing a interim health officer for the county to the governor and the president. And he's saying that this is their constitutional freedom and just plain common sense. Again, I'm not a lawyer of any sense of the measure. This is basically Elon just saying you have no right to tell us to continue closing our business, even the facts are X, Y, and Z. Basically saying, frankly, this is the last straw. Tesla is now moving its HQ and future programs to Texas and Nevada. So Texas basically is the where they want to build the Cybertruck, and then Nevada is basically the Giga 1, which is basically the main hub for all their batteries that they build. Even entirely retain Fairmount factory activity at all, depending on how Tesla is treated in the future. Tesla is the last car maker left in California. Again, complaining that California is a little bit more stricter and things like that. Then going into another county here next door to his county has been sustainable and reasonable in allowing them to reopen and things like that. Again, this is the biggest concern. Again, is the stock. Like, you're telling me that you're going to move a huge boatload factory that is just basically sitting in the middle of Fremont, and you can see here someone on Wall Street's Bets did some due diligence here and drove by. There's cars out there. It's open. It looks like it's operational. It's not completely full, but he drove by, and this is what he sees out there. Currently, you can see a bunch of cars out there, probably due to the factory hands and so forth, producing some vehicles, basically saying, hey, come in, do your work. Let's start producing some cars. Like, our business is going to go under if you're going to continue allowing us not to do what we need to do. So that being said, this is going to be very trying on the stock, without a doubt. Looking at the potential for Elon again starting another Twitter war, basically him being such a influence within his stock price it's going to be a wild ride for sure. There's a couple articles within Wall Street Bets that I found that someone is saying if he's going to be scared or ecstatic for Tesla $1,000 put strike price that's expiring basically in June 19. He's basically bet about a little over nearly $500,000 by 22 of these puts for a price, looking for a potential downswing. His overall cost was about $472,000. He's already down $24,000. Potentially going to see what the initial price will be moving forth. You can see here on the close on the previous trading day, which was Friday, the 8th of May, that the stock rallied up basically 5% to $820. And this time we're going to go ahead and switch to the chart and kind of give a further breakdown on what the Hello Kitty is going on over here. All right. So again, Tesla has been in the news quite a bit, saying Elon Musk saying, hey, our stock's overpriced, in my opinion, or our stock value is too high, in my opinion, or something like that. it just came crashing down, okay? It was holding the 21. It never closed below the 21 on the daily chart. So that is a very strong indication that that trend is still intact. That looked like it still was intact because it basically rebounded and then traded well above its 8 and 5 exponential moving averages for the following 3 or 4 days after that little basically V-shaped bottom, looking forth to print higher potentially depending on the overall market criteria continue going higher. With the earnings was phenomenal, honestly, on what they are able to get done and what they're doing, potentially for a push higher. Looking at, again, some charts here, we're going to go from a Fibonacci retracement from the swing high to swing low here. Oh, I didn't attack. This is a huge indication here. The 21 is bucking right against this the 618 percentile move here. So this is a super key position. So we need to watch this. If it breaks below this and closes below this, and I did not want to do that or above, I'm going to do oh, if I could click on it, there we go. Need to get a new mouse. Looking at if it closes below this, again, Tesla is just so volatile. Looking at a potential move even substantially lower if the news is taken as bad. Again, at this point, I have no idea if this is going to make the news skyrocket or things like that. I kind of have a feeling that it's going to go higher, but it can also go lower. It's going to be a coin flip on how other people look at it. It's not going to be easy just to, so again, rationally and making common sense, they're not going to be able to move a factory overnight to Texas. We saw that again. It took them 8 to 9 months to build a factory in Shanghai that was able to produce the Model 3, and now switching and adding the Model Y expansion to it. Again, that took months. You're not going to be able to snap your fingers and be able to do this. This is going to be a long drawn process. But the understanding of them moving out, I feel, honestly, the initial thought is I feel bad for the employees. Like, is this going to be something where they're going to be allowed to retain the job and potentially move if needed? Because that is a crucial job for a lot of frontline workers. So there's so many other questions in the air. Again, looking if it closes below around the $727 price target. And then for a potential move higher, it needs to break the 870 here. So it kind of needs to bust out of here. Again, if we bring back that fib retracement, which I accidentally removed, it basically hits the 78.6 percentile move here, is basically around, what is that? Like, call it 837 move here. Being a little bit overhead resistance. The parabolic SAR, which is these little purple dots here, are still printing lower, but with the overall momentum up the last 2 or 3 days, this could push through it if the news continues going higher. Momentum has been stagnant here, even though it has moved up. Volume is, again, somewhat bleak. Again, had huge moves early in the week due to the fact of the tweets of him saying his stock price for the following Friday is overpriced, and then looking at a potential down move there. This is maybe not the same extent. He's just trying to have the right to open up his factory so he can put his workers back to work, produce cars for the consumers with the certain guidelines, but he's just trying to fight that there cannot open up zero because of the overall pandemic and the spread, even though they're talking about adding much more guidelines than other folks. Whew, this is going to be a crazy ride for sure. Looking here on the weekly chart of Tesla, the momentum has just been very strong here. It's on the weekly side, it's been above the 5. And you can kind of see here, once it kind of closed below the 5 here, again, this has been a heck of a move for Tesla. Basically, since last October, that one earnings call, 2 or basically 3 earnings calls ago, it just rid up the 5 exponential moving average on the weekly chart. All right, it rode it up substantially, getting so far away from it and then breaking out to nearly $1,000. and then coming back down to earth slightly, and then start closing below these moving averages. But it kind of tried to bounce off the 21 here on the weekly chart, but due to the overall momentum with the pandemic and everything, it just come crashing down, kind of broke through the 21, kind of regained its balance, and now is starting to try to kick higher again. This kind of looks like a V-shaped bottom to me, so this could be printing again. We have to look for these key indications, like we have to see if it starts breaking above the 869, or it starts breaking below 727. On how it starts indicating. The parabolic SA bar broke on the weekly chart basically 2 weeks ago, 2 weeks now since the last close of yesterday on Friday, trying to print higher. Looking here on the overall trend, the trend is still higher here. Again, it's still printing teal lines, teal colored candles. If we get a white candle, then it could be a potential reversal. Like you can see here, there's a white candle here, switched, white candle here, switched, white candle here, slightly switched. But the moving averages are just so strong, printing so much to the sky. Again, this kind of lines up with our initial analysis here of just being really high price target magnets. Again, being in very short interim of basically being at 775 could be a potential bounce, but that is a very strong short-term momentum bounce, but has seen significant more levels between the 750 to 730-ish range for a potential, but because again, Tesla is just so powerful, it can move in either direction. Again, and showing quite a bit of support here around the 800 or 686. So we're actually going to move this guy up here. Again, this is we're looking at a 4-hour chart. We can pop this to a daily chart and kind of give you a little bit more better perspective here. Again, this news can go in either direction. And then going back to that trader of Mark J. Wett, basically betting $500,000 ish on Tesla calls. He bought the $1,000 put. So we can go ahead and look at the trading view here, looking at the the 19th. The 19th, and he bought the $1,000 put. So this $1,000 put is in the money. Okay, so he bought this guy right here. There is quite a lot of activity here. You see a lot of open interest. There wasn't that much volume, but there's quite a substantial open interest here compared to this one as well. So this $1,000 price target or strike price is going to see a lot of activity probably come the next couple of weeks due to this news and how this plays out. Because again, it's a complete coin flip. Like, we just don't know what can happen. And this guy paid a pretty big penny for this. This is well over a $20,000 excuse me, basically a little over $20,000 strike, or 20,000 put cost per option. So he's making a pretty substantial bet, and potentially can go higher, lower, and we'll have to see on what happens from that point forth. Looking at the overall breakdown of things, I kind of wanted to show you at the potential likelihood of this continue being in the money. We can kind of see that here with, right here, position quote Greeks delta. Okay, since it's already in the money, it's likely to stay in the money. So this has a lot more value in the sense of the movement of the stock. So once the stock moves, it's going to move. It's 0.76 is the delta. So it's going to move pretty rapidly, or pretty much even with what the stock price is going to move. So if the stock price crashes to the ground, this thing's going to blow up in value, and blow up in a good way in value. That's what I'm trying to say. Being able to get a huge value return on this. Again, this is a very one-sided bet. Potentially, the individual is giving some time. He's giving himself basically 41 days from today, looking at a potential. Again, he's hoping the stock price will come down. looking at the overall move on the spread or that call option or those options within that time frame. That expiration is basically in plus or minus 190. Let's just call it 200 to keep it simple. So $200 from here, it's going to be all the way down to around $620. That's through here. Or we're going to see a higher price of $200 from here, which is be well above the initial price target, breaking it into the $1,000 price target. So this is going to be a super volatile time for the stock. We'll see what happens. If it comes crashing down, I think for my position, it has to come down quite substantially for me to add to it. And then for me initially to add to my overall position being in around the 300s, it has to come down well down to the 200 exponential moving average on the daily chart. So that's around $500. We can pop that over to the 4-hour chart, and that's a little bit higher to $600 if you're trading a little bit more short term. Again, my position, full disclosure, is long term for the potential growth within Tesla. Again, guys, thank you so much for watching. This is Ken from the Dyslexic Investor, and I'll catch you guys on the flip side. Peace.